All right, everybody, welcome back here. I hope everybody had an awesome New Year's, awesome Christmas, all that stuff. I know that kept me busy for sure. The holidays just kind of a chaotic time trying to get everything together, get all the gifts and all that. So it's been a minute since we did that last review, but we're kicking things off in the new year just right here with the first album review of 2025. Of course, if you've been following along, we're talking about Megadeth and we're talking about 1990s album Rust in Peace. One of my favorite album covers by my favorite album artist, Ed Repka, who, of course, has done a lot of the Death album covers. He's done Toxic, just very kind of cartoon style, but also realistic at the same time. Very cool. Got the lineup back there. Of course, Marty Friedman's going to join this thing of Cacophony fame, which, if you haven't heard of them before, definitely got to check them out. It's him and Jason Becker just going to Shred Town. It's some heavy stuff. But Marty Friedman fits right on in here. This has got to be my favorite lineup of Megadeth. I think this is their peak lineup for sure. And the lineup that they would have for a while. So, at least I'm pretty sure, Nick Menza was on drums for a while for them. Let me see here. Yeah, Nick Menza. That is Nick Menza still on here. So, and I think he went all throughout the 90s here with them, if not further, if I'm not mistaken. And this is kind of what many consider to be the prime decade of Megadeth here is the 90s. So we're entering that big time for them. They were really blowing up at this time if they already hadn't, in their first few albums, they were already gaining that popularity, but they just really blew up, especially with the album after this one. But let's kick things off with the opening track. You know it if you've heard of this band. Holy Wars, The Punishment Due. My God. This is one of the best damn songs I think they've ever done. Just the way this thing was constructed is just phenomenal. The timing, just the structure of the song, the different time changes and moments in this one. I mean, you get with that just monstrous riff and just that kind of fast pace going on. Dave Mustaine comes in growling his vocals, how he does. And it's got that thick, chunky riff as well. That's kind of the in-between riff. And then, it breaks down with just this neoclassical lick that Marty Friedman does, which that's really what he brings to the table. It's just a big, a big amount of that neoclassical style that he's so well known for, and he brings that here to Megadeth, which is just blends in perfectly with their stuff. Then you get that really cool breakdown, and then that main riff kicks in, where it just really, man, makes you just want to punch a hole through a wall. It's just get your blood pumping after that part kicks in, and wow, they end up. Even near the end, things speed back up and just shred, and just the emotional buildup of this one is just a masterpiece of a song. One of the best Megadeth songs. I know it's a massively popular one for them, but I think it's for damn good reason. It's one of the best ones, one of their best songs, period. I think it is a masterpiece of a song. Holy Wars, The Punishment Due. Then we follow it up with Hangar 18, which, the first song kind of touches on like some of the conspiracy type shit. I'm really into all that shit too, and that's why the album cover's so cool to me. Looks like freaking Majestic 12 or some organization back there watching this alien thing in Area 51, right? And Hangar 18 kind of looks into some of that too, and Holy Wars kind of delves into a little bit of that side of things. But Hangar 18, another massively popular song and one of the best ones off here. I mean, everybody knows that riff on this one, and just that. It just feels like the way this song is makes you feel like you're going into something, that you shouldn't be. Kind of was what the vibe of that song is, possibly I've seen too much. It just, man, it's such a sick song. And I really love the solo in this one from both, Dave and Marty are just a match made in heaven. I mean, no wonder that lineup lasted so long with them two in it together. Is because they have that chemistry, and their guitar work, the way they can kind of trade and play off each other's riffs and solos. It's all evident here on Hangar 18, another massively popular song and another top tier Megadeth song. Then we go with Take No Prisoners, and I love just kind of the, this one's a headbanger, man. The way this one, nah, 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 then you got the chanting going on in the back. Uh, Very cool, very upbeat track that kind of is a pace changer. I mean, those others two were really speedy, really fast, and not that this one isn't. It just is in a different way with more of a groove to it, I would say. But I really like those background vocals kind of chiming in. And then, the chorus, take no prisoners, take no shit, just awesome, awesome song. This has always been one of my favorites off here as well, is Take No Prisoners. Then we go on to the final track of side one, talking about Five Magics. This one's kind of an underrated classic, I think. Very, very cool lyrics and stuff, the way it's kind of crafted and everything. And I love the this one kind of feels dark, and it's got a really cool bass moment in there where David Ellefson just really, you can really hear really throughout this album in the mix. His bass, per usual, as it should be, is heavy and heavy sounding, right, and has a great tone to it. But at one point here at Five Magic, he does this little lick out of nowhere in between, just really, it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? And just a really cool moment in that track. And I think it was a solid way to wrap up that first side of this album. Side two, we go with Poison Was the Cure. And if I maybe had to go with the least favorite, and that's so hard to even do on this album, right? Because all of this is just masterful. Poison Was the Cure might be it, unless you want to count this other one kind of that on here that we'll talk about. But Poison Was the Cure would maybe be my least favorite off here. It's just so hard to say because it is an amazing song, right? That's what opens up side two, is Poison Was the Cure, and I really like the dark kind of feel that this one has, mainly that intro part. There's just a cool dark feeling on this one, so I do really like this one. It's just, in comparison to all these other ones, it's so hard to, it would just have to probably be my least favorite. But that doesn't mean it's bad in the slightest, because it's an amazing track. Then we go with Lucretia, which I think, man, this one might be one of my new, top 4 or 5 off here. Because this one, I love the intro riff that goes on in this one, and in the bass solo part in this one, where it just, man, you could just hear this thing going. I wouldn't even say it's a bass solo, rather, but just a really cool bass line that's going on and grooving in this one, and I love the shreddiness of this one. But that intro lick in particular, that little riff that's going on there, really hooks you in immediately, and they keep you locked in with this one as that riff kind of evolves and develops, and this song just gets one of them crazy speedy ones, and a very, very cool one. Then, man, come on, Tornado of Souls, this track number 3 off side 2. Whew, everybody knows that one too, as it's one of their best freaking songs out there. That riff is another iconic one. The way, they just kind of go up that scale, and it just, man, feels like you're winding into a tornado, right? And one of the hookiest choruses off here, for sure. And it's always been one of my favorite Megadeth songs as well. Tornado of Souls. It's just an instant Megadeth classic, You'll find that, I'm sure, in a lot of people's, easily their top 10 of their tracks, which is totally fair, because, my God, it's one of the best ones off not just this side, but off this album in general. And I love how this one kind of develops too, which is kind of a theme off this album, where a lot of the different time changes are getting involved throughout here, where the songs will often build up to this big moment and then kind of shred out and go and erupt into this chaos of shredding and badass soloing and all that. So that is kind of a theme of this album, and a common theme through a lot of these songs. I mean, like even with the Holy Wars and Hangar 18, all that stuff. So and really looking at Tornado of Souls again, that really makes me think of that kind of being a common theme on here. Then we go with, this would maybe be also a least favorite of mine, but I love it. And it's because it's barely a song. It's like, a minute or two, but it's such a badass atmosphere setter. Dawn Patrol, which is just this thick bass lick from David Ellefson. And while that's going on, you've got Dave Mustaine kind of having a creepy kind of dark vocal going on, and it's just such a cool atmosphere setter that really hones you into the album if you already weren't right. But it's just it is such a cool little filler type deal. Well, I wouldn't even call it filler, but a cool little interlude in between the last few tracks here. But it's so freaking cool. So I mean, that's why I would even almost say I like it better than Poison Was the Cure, which I know would sound crazy, but I've always really liked Dawn Patrol, and just the place it fits on the album, and just the cool kind of, it even is kind of a pace changer too, because it's just got the dark, slow bass groove to it. Let me close things out with Rust in Peace, Polaris, and this is a perfect closer for this album. Another speed, thrash, heavy, badass track. I love the lyrics on this one. Another really hooky chorus with this one. I spread disease like a dog. I mean, that's just freaking awesome. Really, really hooky. Will get in your head. And I love the soloing on this one as well, which I guess you could say for the entire album, right? But Rust in Peace, Polaris really wraps this thing up. It even kind of tricks you at the end. You think it's over, then kind of picks back up with a little bit more. And then bam, you tie the bow off this piece of art right here. And what a freaking album, man. I mean, I'm sure you guys have all, if you're watching this channel, and maybe you haven't, but I know a lot of you guys have definitely heard this album and know its significance, and not only thrash metal, but just metal history in general. Many people cite this as their favorite Metallica album, one of their favorite thrash albums of all time. Is that where mine's gonna lie? I don't want to spoil it, so I don't want to spoil where we end up ranking things at the end of this thing. But it has always been just a go-to Megadeth album for me, and as it is for a lot of people. But I could say the same again, not spoiling nothing, because I could say the same for a lot of these, and especially going back through these albums and everything. Stuff could get shifted around. You just never know, right? We still got a lot of albums to go. But, yeah, guys, that is Rust in Peace, an iconic metal album of the 90s. Top tier stuff. Man, if you haven't heard this, you got to do it now. You got to do it now. Drop everything you're doing. You got to jam to this thing now, and you will love it. You'll fall in love with it immediately, just like I did, I'm sure. But, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on some of your favorite tracks off here, maybe some of your least favorite, some things that you might consider little hidden gems and such, kind of like, I think Lucretia's quite the hidden gem, for example. But definitely want to talk about this thing. And next time, we're going with probably their most successful album, Countdown to Extinction. So stay tuned for that one as we truck along in this Megadeth album review series. So stay tuned for that, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thanks.